The holidays mean more travel, more shopping, more time online, and more personal info in more places that could expose you more to identity theft. But LifeLock monitors millions of data points per second. If your identity is stolen, our US-based restoration specialists will fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Don't face drained accounts, fraudulent loans, or financial losses alone. Get more holiday fun and less holiday worry with LifeLock. Save up to 40% your first year. Visit lifelock.com/podcast. Terms apply.
I use Shipt same-day delivery to stay connected with my sister during the holidays. She lives across the country. Shipt has tons of stores to order from. Groceries from Albertsons, crafts from Michael's, even pet supplies from PetSmart. The list goes on. So when we have long-distance movie nights, I turn to Shipt to get face masks, snacks, and everything else we need delivered to her and to me same day. Download the app or visit Shipt.com. That's SHIPT.com.
Hello, my name is Damon Friedman, co-founder and president of SOF Missions. As a 20-year veteran within Special Operations, I've gone through many challenges due to my military service and time in combat. We felt called to start SOF Missions to serve our fellow brothers and sisters in arms, focusing on suicide prevention and resiliency. Our mission at SOF Missions is to empower warriors to find purpose and be resilient. Since 2011, when we started the organization, almost 3 million men and women have deployed to Iraq and Afghanistan. Unfortunately, the scars of war take a toll on their psychological, physical, social, and spiritual health. Many veterans feel a sense of hopelessness and a loss of purpose when they return to civilian life. They feel isolated and alone, unable to reconnect. And in the greatest of tragedies, over 20 veterans lose all hope and take their own lives. Our goal at SOF Missions is to provide veterans the tools and resources so that they don't become a statistic. We offer a unique approach to combating veteran suicide through a whole health, intradisciplinary model. The Be Resilient program is a 4-pillar methodology that addresses the areas of psychological, physical, social, and spiritual wellness. We provide care through 3 delivery methods: medical clinics, retreats, and educational training. Since we started back in 2011, we have been able to reach veterans in all 50 states and have served over 3,000 veterans through the Be Resilient program. Being resilient is a multifaceted and complex issue. We know that to find a lasting solution, we have to address the whole warrior. Many challenges cannot be solved by providing the treatments and modalities of just one component, but by tackling them all. Now, we've expanded our services to include law enforcement and first responders. Together, we can make a lasting impact in the lives of warriors across the nation. To learn more, visit our website at sofmissions.org.
Proceed to your post assignment. All units proceed to your post assignment.
All right. Welcome back.
MisFitNation. MisFitNation. The MisFitNation show.
We are a show founded by a veteran and hosted by 2 veterans and a military spouse. Our mission is to get people to tell their stories to the world. If you're an author, share your tips with the MisFitNation. If you're a musician or an actor, our audience needs to know how they too can get into the business. Coaches, we love our coaches. Come on and share your tips with the MisFitNation to help them become better versions of themselves. If you are a corporate leader or an entrepreneur, come on and show how you did it and how hard you have fought for success. If you are a veteran, first responder, or Gold Star family, we would love to have you come on and share your story with the MisFitNation. We always have time for you. If you're feeling down, alone, or starting to see the darkness, stop. Think about those who are around you. You are not alone. You will be missed. If you feel like your problems will be a burden to those in your inner circle or feel embarrassed, dial 988. If you are a veteran, take option 1. We need you to keep pushing forward. Don't make a permanent solution to a temporary problem. If you are a new listener, welcome to the MisFitNation show. Be sure to subscribe to our show on your favorite podcast app. Also on our YouTube channel, at @the_MisFitNation. Subscribe and click the bell to keep you up to date on our latest episodes and all of our news. You can also find us on Heroes Media Group and About Face Radio. Now, let's get to the show!
All right. Welcome back to the second show of our Veterans Week shows. And tonight I'm joined by the infamous Tuesday crew. They are here with me tonight. We got Jake, we got Steve, and Cagney and Lacey are both here. How are you guys doing tonight?
We are causing trouble.
Doing great. Drove to Nashville today. Didn't kill anybody.
Outstanding.
Didn't unalive anybody.
There you
go. Got a good report for Mrs. Holland at the clinic, and we're going back down tomorrow to do some more.
Outstanding. Another ride to beautiful Nashville down those great highways where things are just amazing. Tonight, I can tell you, fellas, I don't have any bad news to start the show with. Steven, do you have any hero news to share?
I have no hero news. I could not find anything worth exploring today. I apologize.
I got something that I do want to put out, though.
Let's do it.
Did we ask you?
Rich, I was actually moved to tears when my quilt was presented to me.
Outstanding.
If I'd have thought about it, I'd have put it around my shoulders to wear for the show. But brother, that means a lot. And yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. Outstanding.
Congratulations.
Yours looks much better than the one they gave me, so I'm glad that they've stepped up a notch for you.
Well, it's and just having the little nameplate on the inside of it that's got your name and who it was made by and all that, and yeah, and plus the presentation was at a Catholic church, so we had food.
I bet. That's outstanding. When I did mine, it was outside.
Did they put your name on the inside in case you forget your name? Because you're getting up there in age. Is that what that is?
Yeah, that's why they do that, Stephen. Okay,
I just want to make
exactly
sure.
Why they did that.
All right, fellas. Tonight, you know why you two are here tonight? It's because we have our newest teammate going to be our interviewee tonight, and then she'll be able to run free with the MisFit Nation after this, which would be awesome. So, you guys ready to get this thing going?
Yeah,
let's go.
All right. Tonight, we continue our Veterans Week series with a story that reaches deep into trauma, into healing, into resilience, into courage it takes to rebuild. Our guest is a U.S. Army veteran and former combat medic. Her journey has taken her through foster care, abuse, addiction, chronic illness, and military trauma. And yet she stands today as a writer, speaker, creator, and advocate who chooses to heal out loud so that others can too. This is a conversation about survival, spirituality, identity, and the power of reclaiming your story. So let's welcome Marie Slider Henricksen to the MisFit Nation. Welcome, Marie.
Hey guys. Hello. Thank you. That was a beautiful introduction, and I'm honored to be here. Thank you so much.
I'm glad you didn't cry, so it's good.
Well, I'm actually I started tearing up a little bit. I'll end up crying before the night is over. If anybody has seen my podcast, you'll see I cry a lot. So
a crier.
Yeah.
Well, Marie, like we told you in the green room, we're gonna give you like the dime store introduction of you right there, the elevator pitch. Now it's your chance to share with the MisFit Nation who you are and introduce yourself to the MisFit Nation because you're now part of us. So go ahead.
Awesome. Well, hey guys, I got myself a t-shirt, representing,
There it is.
There you go.
So yeah, my name is Marie Slider Henricksen, and I am the co-host of the Every Day is a Saturday USMC Veteran Coffee Talk with Brian and Marie. I just started podcasting a few months ago and have been loving it. I have been through this journey of many different traumas and trials and disabilities. Like Rich was saying, I got lost in a lot of different types of addictions, and I've been sober. January will be 9 years, so a little over 8 years right now. And in my sobriety, I started finding my voice, and part of that was writing, and I write poetry. I just published a book. I'll show you guys. More Me Than I Used to Be, A Journey to Freedom. And it's got my poetry in it and also my own photography. And it is not for sale online yet because I have to do a reprint because there was some mistakes in this one. So as soon as that gets ready, I will be sending it out. If you're interested in the book, or if you're interested in seeing my poetry, it's all free online. If you go to sliderbabe.com, SLIDERBABE. And I'm currently working on a new book as well. And I wanted to share you guys one of the poems that I have written for that new book. And it just basically gives an overview of me and my journey, especially with the military. And that's what I want to share today. Is I want to share my journey in the military, kind of tell you where I came from, what it was like, what happened, and what it's like now. And so I'm just going to share with you guys this poem for now, and then we can move forward from there. So it's called Army Strong, and I just wrote it in September, and I wrote it for the Army the Armed Services Art Partnership, which is a foundation that helps out with veterans and family members to be able to heal through artistic means. So they do podcasting classes, they do poetry classes, they do the spoken word classes. They will also they do acting classes, comedy classes, and they'll also send you art supplies for you to do different activities on your own. And I wrote this poem for them. And so I just wanted to go ahead and read it. So it's called Army Strong. I joined to be all I could be, though I didn't know what was required. I had no idea that most of my life I would end up feeling tired. In the Army, it was because I was busy every day. When I got out, my PTSD kept the sleep away. You see, I came in seeking to find escape from my past. Instead, I found more reasons to build a stronger cast. Before I joined the Army, I faced adoption, abuse, and rape, yet I never dealt with them. I was in rough shape. I pushed my emotions down, not talking to anyone. Then my Army time was more traumatic than was fun. At first, it was personal: cheating husband, divorce, harassment. I also put myself in situations of embarrassment. I ran to the alcohol and people for distraction. I quickly realized it was not the right attraction. Then there was Iraq, where war can bring up drama. I got involved in a situation that caused another trauma. Then there were the bodies and blood I was to face. A little boy shot for being in the wrong place. The men who drove over a bridge and didn't make it home. Aaron, who died walking to chow. Did she feel alone? Others shot or blown up, we put into our truck. We drove them to the helipad. Lots of blood to clean up. We were always in danger. The mortars came a lot. I even know someone who on base was almost shot. Another section of trauma I had to face out there was our unit corruption. It was found in every layer. I didn't feel safe. Many in my unit were shady. I even found out a friend had killed his own baby. When my body gave out and I was grounded to the fob, I felt pretty crappy since I couldn't do my job. So when they discharged me due to my medical stuff, I lost the will to live and was feeling mentally rough. The addictions then got worse. I was stuck for many years. Most of my memories are covered in my tears. I know that there were good times, yet they didn't weigh as much. At least not until I received a spiritual touch. It took me getting sober to see both sides of things. I can see my service now from above as if with wings. Sometimes when I think of the experiences I had, I get lost in my emotions. I feel shame or mad or sad. The truth is that I know God watched me all along. I know what I experienced in the army made me strong. The physical muscles came and went within their time. The lessons I learned while I was in were new muscles that were mine. The military taught me how I can endure, suffer through hard things without walking out the door. I experienced fun times traveling a lot. I learned to talk to others and personalities to spot. Reading between the lines is an ability I learned. Many scars and bruises I also frightfully earned. They remind me that I really pushed myself beyond where I thought I could go. Boy, was I wrong. My limits were only perceived by a close minded me. I got through my hardest days. I now can see that even though I wanted to give up pretty often, God gave me strength and my ego, He did soften. One of the best learned lessons was camaraderie. We can't face this world alone. We need community. I always thought I was Army strong, though my definition has changed. I thought it meant fighting alone, yet my thoughts have rearranged. I've learned to gain hope through humility. Asking for help from others is true resiliency. You see, the thing about my Army time that I never liked is that I always had a battle buddy by my side. I've tried to take this practice through my daily life, for when we lift each other, we can get through much more strife. When I tried to fight my battles in my head alone, I got lost in darkness and couldn't see the light that shone. It took reaching out to others to find a different way. I learned how to keep those demons at bay. I had to get help to process, not just push them down. I learned how to smile and not just frown. As I continue healing, I'll keep reaching out my hand so when the next person falls, I can lift them from the sand. One day soon, this long war of life will be done. For now, to be Army strong, we must be an army of one.
That was fantastic.
That was
Jake, stop crying. Marie, that was great.
it was. That was amazing.
And you hit every recruiting theme within that too. So be all you can be, Army strong, Army of one. I think it was in there too. So it's all there. You hit them all. You're rolling them off. That was outstanding. Great poem, Jake.
And I don't know if you intended this or not, but you could probably take, I'm going to say, at least 95, if not 99% of veterans, and either all or at least a vast majority of this applies to all of us, because we all go through the same, we don't have the same day-to-day stuff, but at the core of it, we go through the same thing, all of us. And wow, that's powerful. I loved it.
Thank you.
I can't wait for it to come out in print because, well, Rich will tell you, I'm probably going to go broke whenever we have, because every time we have an author on, I buy their book. Every time.
Every single time.
Yeah.
And now that you're part of the MisFitNation, you have 3 other people to rely on when you need somebody. You're not alone.
Yes.
You got three more people to reach out to whenever.
Well, and this is one of the reasons why I started, podcasting. Like when I got that call, the beginning of the year is like, so just kind of like backing up, but yeah, last year at 7 years sober, I was having a really hard time. I was in a veterans care facility because I had to get my hips replaced. I was dealing with really bad PTSD. I was lost in bulimia, binging and purging because I wasn't happy with my weight and was just in my food addiction, and there was just a lot of things going on. But I had this beautiful moment where I got married while I was in the care facility. And so through this hell, I there was this beautiful thing that happened. But then when I moved in with him, I was stuck in a lot of these traumas, still in my head and in my heart. And so I ended up doing an intensive outpatient program last year for PTSD and food addiction. And once I processed through that, it was finally one of the last levels of layers that I needed to go through to feel more me than I used to be, like my book, right? Because I've gone through all of these different layers. In my sobriety, I've been to the psych unit twice. I've been through multiple different types of therapies, and this was kind of like the last layer I needed to go to kind of feel like me again, because I was frozen for a long time. And there's another poem that I wrote that's called Frozen, and I just felt frozen. And so at the beginning of the year, when I got that feeling like, hey, you are feeling more me than you have been. Why don't you share with others how you've gotten there? And so that's when I was, prompted to, by my higher power to get this book out and to get it published. And as I got this published, I got the feeling like, hey, you should probably get yourself out there too. And that's what got me starting to look into podcasting, where I met Brian over at Every Day's a Saturday. you know and as I started sharing my story with him, he started sharing his story, and I realized, you know in recovery, I've met people inside of the military and out, and I can relate with my story with them. But as I started talking to him and really getting involved into the veteran community, and I've kind of always been in it, but on this new realm, right? I started realizing that all of us have such different stories, but there are a lot of lessons that we learned the same way, and some to our detriment, but also some to our strengths. And that's one of the reasons why I continued on with the podcasting, and why I've continued sharing my story, because I recognize that we are all going through this shit together, and there's so many layers where we connect on. But our PTSD, it is a disease of aloneness, of disconnect. PTSD stems from feeling unsafe. And what we have learned when we feel unsafe is to put our armor on, right? And so with that, we start feeling like we're fighting alone, because we have this armor on, and we run and we hide. And so in being able to share my story out loud and heal out loud, which is what they say in the recovery community, and I love it. I've kind of took that and run with it. You know, when you heal out loud, you let people know they're not alone. And PTSD to advocacy, that is another layer. So that's like for my podcast, and then also just for myself, on my new business card, it says healing out loud, PTSD to advocacy. That is the thing, is as I am processing through my stuff, it helps other people know that they can talk. And there's a couple different layers, right? I heal out loud for the people that can't, because they're already gonna start crying. For the people who can't, because they have already left us, because they didn't know that they could talk. And I start, I heal out loud for the people who don't know how to. And so I can show them, hey, here is a way that you can use your voice. Or for the people who feel like their journey is not worth it, or for the people who feel like they don't matter. I feel like I had this opportunity this last week to be confronted with somebody who was not happy about the things that I shared, right? And I basically told him, I said, that's okay. It's not for you, it's for other people. My journey can touch other people. It doesn't touch everybody, but it can touch somebody who feels alone. And so that's one of the reasons why I do what I do, because we're all connected. And the reality is, even though the stories are different, the feelings are the same. When people talk about PTSD, like I do recovery advocacy as well, where people will just give me a call and I'll just talk to them about what they're going through, or I will direct them to different programs and resources that are available for them. But I have people tell me, like, I don't have PTSD. I can't have PTSD. I didn't go into combat. I didn't do this. I didn't do that, either civilians or military. And they say, I don't have PTSD. And I was like, did you have a situation where you did not feel safe? Well, yeah. Do you get triggered when you think about that situation where you didn't feel safe? Well, yeah. Okay. That's PTSD. All PTSD is an abnormal reaction to a trauma. There are many people or many traumas that we have in our life, right, where it doesn't trigger us. We're like, oh, well, this happens. Okay, that's fine. And there's other people who never experienced PTSD. They have trauma, but they're able to process through it. But PTSD is for people who have a hard time processing through the trauma. That's all it is. And so one of the things that I try to do is break that stigma. When people say, well, my shit's not as much as you, or they try to compare the journeys. And I'm like, you felt unsafe and you get triggered anytime you feel unsafe. That's PTSD. So anyways, that's just my thoughts on that.
That's every time one of us goes into a restaurant and doesn't want to sit with our back to the door. Our back has to be to the wall. No matter what, our back has to be to the wall. If you go to a theater, the first thing I know me and Jake do, Steve probably does too, and I know you do, Marie. You walk into a theater, first thing we do is look for the exits and see how many rows we got to pass before we get out. Mm-hmm. So there's all signs and symptoms of what we all have. What's all in our little stupid backpack that we carry around with us that no one can see, but it's there. It's on our back at all times. And now, like you said, you're healing out loud so people can see that we all are messed up. We all are not okay. Like I know your favorite, I mentioned this on your show, Jelly Roll, and you like them. We are not okay, but we're all going to be all right. All right, all right, all right. And that's what we're going to do. Stephen, I'll let you ask the question that's in the chat.
Oh, okay. At Melody391 out wants to know, Marie, when you look back at your journey, what was the moment you realized healing had started? Thank you, Melody.
So thank you, Melody. Yeah, there is so many layers to that, because there were so many moments where I was like, something's not right, but I had no idea what that meant or what that looked like. I'll say some of the big ones was when I was getting out of the military. I didn't know that I was an alcoholic. I had no idea. So I'd been through. Let me just kind of back up and tell a quick, tidbit of my story, and then I'll kind of get to that answer. But when I was a child, I was born to addict alcoholic parents. I dealt with different types of abuses and neglect and stuff like that, and ended up in foster care. In foster care, I had my own types of trauma, didn't know where I belonged. I went to a couple different foster homes, like during the summers, went to go live with my biological aunt for a while. There was a lot of separation that had to happen between the foster kids and the adopted kids. Didn't know where I belonged. Then when I was finally adopted, I was finally adopted with my brother. And when I was 12 and started going through puberty, I had some unwanted physical attention that was happening. I started with food addiction and self-harm, to kind of make myself feel better. But then I got into the alcohol and the weed. And that was kind of, I have arrived type thing. That was that. This will make me be able to socialize. That led me into a situation where, not victim shaming myself, but I put myself in a situation that was not safe. And I got my virginity taken by 3 men when I was 17, and they were all adults and I was 17. And so after that rape, I really kind of lost myself, and I didn't know where I was going to go or what I was going to do. So that is one of the reasons why I ran away and joined the military. I knew that I was not okay, but I didn't know how to fix it. All I knew was that I needed to get out of the situation. I needed to run away. So I joined the military. I get to Germany. I marry the first guy that said he loves me. He ends up going and getting his girlfriend pregnant. We start going through divorce. And that is when I turned into my pickle. So in recovery, they say, if you keep a cucumber in water or in brine for too long, at any point you can take it out. But at some point, it turns into a pickle and it will never turn back into a cucumber. And so Germany was when I turned into my pickle and I really started becoming an alcoholic. Again, I didn't recognize what was going on with me, but something was wrong. And so I started getting in trouble at work. And so they put me in the Army substance abuse program for a month. And I got better at hiding the alcohol. Even then, I didn't know that I had a problem. It was just like, oh, this is a fun game. Now I've got to get better at not being caught. So I never had processed through everything. So I went from the traumatized childhood, the sexual abuse and rape in my teenage years, to joining the military, married and divorced by the time I'm 21, or married at 19, divorced at 21. And then I get sent over to Washington State, and they're like, hey, get ready to deploy. So you take this traumatized alcoholic and you throw her in Iraq as a medic, getting mortared all the time, dealing with dead bodies, there was so much unit corruption. And I won't go into all the details on here. If you're interested, go take a look at my podcast, Every Day's a Saturday, USMC Veteran, Coffee Talk. And it goes into more details. But there was a lot of trauma, to the point where one of my battle buddies got arrested when we got back because he had killed his baby when he was younger sexually. We had our command sergeant major that got kicked out of the military because he faked a sapper tab, and it took them sending him to Iraq with us to finally realize that, hey, this is stolen valor. We had, everybody sleeping around. I participated in that. I was a part of the corruption, right? I will say this, there was a drunken incident where we were hungover and some guy got hurt. And instead of doing what I was supposed to, we came up with this whole huge lie. I didn't clean out his wound good enough. He got infected and got medically discharged. And then I was getting investigated. So there was all of this stuff going on. And I still had no idea that I had a problem. I just knew, like, this is just how I'm coping. Like, I was dissociating from the active trauma because I had so much trauma in my past that I didn't know how to react. And so I was using addictions, getting drunk over there, and all of the promiscuity and stuff like that. And I was just lost, and I didn't know that I was lost. There's another poem that I wrote that talks about the people I kept close were lost just like me. That was just what I knew. So then I ended up, after 8 months in Iraq, I get sent home on leave, and my hips gave out after all of the missions that I was going on, because I was the field medic and I would go out on missions and I had all this gear on. I was, and then we did the running on all the rocks and on the vehicles. We were in the RG-33s and the MRAPs bouncing around with all of this gear, and it killed my hips. And I went home on leave. I could not get out of bed and had to go to the hospital. I ended up coming back to Iraq. They grounded me to the fob, said I had bursitis and tendonitis. And that was the beginning of the end for my military career. And the last 4 months I was over there, I was just the ambulance driver, basically, and cleanup crew. And when we got home, I was on a dead man's profile. They had me physical therapy, but they're like, hey, we're medically discharging you. I lost all my worth at that point. Like, I had everything that I had been through when I was younger. I was like, I'm going to get some muscles and I'm going to do something that matters. And I joined the military and I'm doing stuff that matters, but I'm also acting stupid and then tearing up my body. Come to find out, I actually have a genetic condition called Hypermobile Ehlers-Danlos Syndrome, and I'll talk more about that in a little while. But my body is just tearing apart, and then I'm a bloomin' alcoholic. I'm feeling like crap, but I know something is not right in my mind, but I didn't know what it was. So when we got back from Iraq, for a year, I decided to put the drink down. Like a normal person doesn't do that just to see if they can, but that's what I did. I was like, hey, I wonder if I could go, I could spend some time without drinking, you know. But because I didn't have the alcohol, I was miserable. And yet again, I did not know that I was miserable. I was literally in this cloud. I was blind, and so I no longer had that I no longer had to work out. I had a lot more free time. I started working at Brigade, and I was the Brigade surgeon cell back then. And so I helped with medical readiness, getting my guys deployed for the second time to go to Afghanistan. And so I have not processed through any of my military trauma, my childhood trauma, my everything else. And I am miserable because I'm not drinking. And I decided to pick up the drink again. And it was like I never stopped. And my alcoholism just shot through the roof again. Now I am feeling a shit ton of survivor's guilt because we lost some good people over there. And I felt like shit because on my off time, I was acting so stupid. And so why did these people die and I came back? And there's a lot of survivor's guilt. And then, for my body falling apart, it's like, well, now all of my guys are getting deployed again and I can't go with them. And so there was a ton of that stuff. And I just kept digging myself in this grave. When I got out of the military, I finally had gotten discharged. So I was in for almost 6 years. When I got out of the military and I came into the civilian world, they gave me 30 grand for my medical discharge, and it was gone within 2 months. And I started realizing yet again, something is not right. A normal person doesn't blow through 30 grand. A normal person doesn't, like this is not right. So yet again, I was like, I need to do something with my life. And so I started going to school. But then I got in a very codependent alcoholic relationship. And that turned it was not very good. There wasn't any physical abuse, but it was just very alcoholic and codependent. We didn't know that we were even sick. He had been deployed 3 times and he was with the infantry guys for the first 2. And so he had his issues, I had mine, but it was just codependent and alcoholic is the best way to put it. We ended up splitting up after some bad choices on both of our things. I was treating him not good and he was not treating me good. I ended up running away and moving to Florida. So I got out of the military in 2011. So I joined in 2006 and got out in 2011. Ran away to Florida, but I did it the wrong way. I knew spiritually that I needed to get out of where I was at. Something just wasn't right. I knew there was something in Florida. I didn't know what it was. Yet again, I still didn't even have a diagnosis for myself of being an alcoholic. I just knew that where I was not good. But instead of doing it the right way, I did it the wrong way. I took financial aid, dropped out of school, and ran away. And so my plan was to go to school, but I had taken financial aid, so they were keeping my transcripts hostage. And so I just started working in a brewery and just started partying and acting crazy all the time. And I was like 28, 29 at this point, and I was getting 18 and 19-year-old college kids drunk all the time. And just was not in my right state of mind. It took me going to see my sister and my sister kind of helping me see that some of my perspectives of my childhood and my family life, that those perspectives were wrong. It took me seeing, having a friend who worked in the psych unit where she told me, hey, you're bordering on alcoholism. And I was like, no, I am an alcoholic, making the joke. But then I started realizing, oh shit, I really do have a problem. Because by this point I'm drinking every day. I had moved into my own apartment. I've got alcohol in the house all the time. I'm going to the bars every night. I'm double fisting at last call and then running to the gas station before it closes so I could get more. I'm waking up in the morning. I'm going to get some mimosas. I'm working at a brew house. Like, all of my social activities are alcohol and weed, and pain pills. And that was the thing too, with all this whole time after I got out of the deployment. It was, I had all this physical pain going on in my body, not knowing what it was. Doctors aren't really doing anything. They're just throwing pain meds. But I'm also not being honest about my alcoholism. So it finally hit me that I might have a problem, but I didn't know to the extent or what that meant. And so what ended up happening was I ended up almost getting in a really bad car accident with a good friend of mine while I was drunk and he was drunk. And I'm swerving and I almost hit the guardrail. I had to overcorrect and literally I felt God. It's the best. It's the only explanation. I literally felt God grab the wheel and straighten it as someone went zooming by. We were going 70 miles an hour. This car was probably going 100. And like I literally felt it yank as this car went by. And in that moment, God said, you're going to kill someone you care about. And that's when I was like, oh shit, maybe I do really have a problem. Because before it was like, maybe, but this is like a definite, like, yeah, you are screwed up right now. And so that was the beginning of the end. That was my last drunk. And that was January 16th of 2017. And I haven't picked up a drink since January 17th of 2017.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very good. Very
So
good.
that was sorry, that was long-winded to say it took a lot of different situations and people in my life to kind of help me see that my perspectives were wrong. And then in my sobriety, there was multiple different triggers that have happened, and ended up going into the psych unit twice, because I wasn't okay in my sobriety, and then lots of different doctor's appointments. There's been a ton in my sobriety, but that is how I knew that I needed the help.
Okay.
And so I can go into my sobriety journey, but I didn't know if anybody else had any other questions before I do that.
Well, we have another question.
Yes,
Okay.
we do.
At Can You Be Me Too wants to know, how do you navigate sharing deeply personal trauma while still protecting your peace?
Nice question.
That is one that I
Very good question.
struggle with. Yes. Thank you for asking that question. That is one that I still struggle with a lot. So I started sharing my journey in recovery rooms. And that was the only place that I did, because I knew that I was in a safe situation because there's people here that understand me. And so when I would share my story and I would get super uncomfortable and not good, I was in a meeting with other people that could put their arms around me and tell me I'm okay. And then I started doing dialectic behavioral therapy. If you've never heard of that, it is phenomenal. It really helps you with interpersonal skills with other people and also within yourself. And it helps you to, so the way that I explain is, I used to be defined by my trauma. And that was all I talked about, was the trauma and the pain. And that's why I got so lost in the addictions, because that was all I saw. Was my life was defined by trauma. I am a victim. I am horrible. I am dirty. I am a piece of shit. So I am just miserable. One day I hope that that trauma won't be in my definition. But where I'm at now is that I define myself by healing from my trauma. And so my story hasn't changed, but in doing these different types of therapy and my recovery work, 12-step work, and doing that kind of stuff, I learned how to be a different storyteller. And so story hasn't changed, but my perspectives have. I've been able to see things from other people's perspective and from a higher perspective and from my higher powers perspective. And I'm able to see myself with compassion and with love. And so it took me 8 years to get to the point where I could do it publicly, and that's because, like I said, that dialectic behavioral therapy really helped me you get rid of but, you can't get rid of can't, get rid of should, get rid of never, get rid of always. You get rid of these words that put you in a box and that are meant to like shame you and control you, right? You get rid of those kind of words and you learn how to find more compassion for yourself and for other people. And doing my 12-step work, and this is the thing, some people can do one or the other. I had to have 3 different layers going on at the exact same time. I had to have recovery work, I had to have therapy work, and I had to have spiritual stuff going on as well. And so with my recovery work, you learn how to identify resentments and traumas, and you learn how to say, okay, I'm pissed off or I'm sad or I'm scared or I'm frustrated at this person because they did this. But I was able, doing my step work, and I've had to do it multiple times, doing my step work, I was able to take them out of it completely, take their actions out of it and look at my own perspectives and say, what did I do that I'm not happy about? What did I do that may have hurt them, regardless of what they did to hurt me? What is it that I did? What is my side of the street? So even with my rapes, I say rapes, but it was one time 3 guys. Even with my rape, right? And my sexual abuse, I can take a look at it and say, I am not victim shaming myself. I am not giving them any leeway at all. But what I'm saying is my part in it is I held on to pain and frustration and I let them keep eating my lunch for so many years. It's like the bully that beat you up that first time. If you keep walking next to them and they keep picking on you, you can walk away from that. I didn't have to let them continue to eat my lunch and make me feel bad about myself. And so I went through these different layers of saying, what is my part in this? With my ex-fiance, right? We had a very codependent alcoholic relationship. And there was times when I blamed him for it breaking apart, for his actions. But the reality is I did just as much to hurt him. And so instead of sitting and being in pain, talking about what other people did, I'm able to take a step back and say, what are the things that I did? And so that's the step work. And then I have the spiritual side of things, right? With the spiritual side of things, I can look at things from God's perspective and I can realize that I don't have to be a victim to other people. I don't have to get validation from other people. I don't have to let other people control me because I get my validation from my higher power. I get my healing from my higher power. I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, or Mormon, as some people call us, and I believe in Christ and I believe in the healing power of the atonement to help me become a new creature. And so I had that kind of healing going on, and then in my therapy, another layer, I've been to the psych unit twice, and in the psych unit, I learned new things. And then I did cognitive processing therapy. And in that cognitive processing therapy, it taught me how to identify the lies and the stuck points that I tell myself because of my past traumas. So a long answer to that simple but complicated question, is the way that I find peace in sharing my story is because I have gone through so many different layers to be able to stop resenting other people and stop living in shame and guilt.
I mean, that's a good answer, and I don't think it matters how long the answer is. Personally, me and Jake started this same journey as you in sobriety, but our years of drinking were longer than you're alive. So mine was 40 years of drinking. Jake's was probably 49, 57 years of drinking. He's from the back.
Wait a second. Wait. You said 40?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's a round number. 10
No.
or 20
Okay.
we started, but
Yeah, 8 or 10, maybe.
Yeah. I've got a question for you, Marie.
Yes.
Going back to your time in Iraq, what unit was you with? And where were you at?
So when I was in Iraq, I worked with the 3rd Brigade, 2nd ID, 2nd Stryker Brigade out of
Mhm.
Washington State. Excuse me. I was in Charlie Company 296, and that was the Brigade Support Battalion.
Okay.
And-
Well, reason I asked, I was in 4th Brigade 2 ID.
Okay, awesome.
That's who I was attached to. Was attached to their engineer company.
And I was attached to the field artillery guys, the 137 in 3-2 for the 4 months that I was doing the field or I was out in the field every day for almost 4 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Our field artillery battalion in 4th Brigade was doing the same thing, just out roaming the road.
Was this during the Korean War or?
Hey, Stephen, you know that picture of that coffee cup that Rich sent us?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. There you go.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, so I was deployed from 09 to 10. That was my deployment.
Okay. We got with them, I think we did it with the surge, and I think I was there from 07 to whenever I left. It was probably sometime in 09 because we were there for the full 15 months.
So we must have basically took over for you. Where were you at?
Taji and Warhorse.
I was Warhorse. Yeah, so we must have taken over for you. We got there in August of 09.
Well, yeah, you must have, because that's when we left.
Yep. Yep, we had to do transitions with some of you guys that were there. So that's funny. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, I lived right there at the aid station.
Cool deal. Yeah.
For most of the time.
I kind of liked Warhorse. It was a little dangerous going outside, but
yes.
Was...
yeah. There was a situation. Well, before I go into this hard situation, let me say, Bob Warhorse, one of the best DFACs in the world. Just gonna say that they were phenomenal, and that made things better because we were getting mortared almost every day. You know,
Stir Fry Tuesday.
Yes. Oh, awesome. But so
I just want to throw something out there real quick. We've interviewed a lot of people, and this has come up multiple times where you were like across the street in a coffee shop at the same time that these people were in country. It's amazing hearing these stories where, oh my God, I was standing right there. You must have been turned the other way. I didn't see you. You were in the same spot. Rich has done it. Jake's done it a few times talking to people. I'm like, what the hell is going on here?
Small world, small army.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
But when you're in country, it's like, oh my God, you were standing like right across the street. I was over here when I was doing this. And like, wow.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, it's not a real big country.
No.
But still.
Yeah. But yeah, I'll tell you, you know the town that was right outside?
Yeah, Bakuba.
Yeah. So there was at one point that I was getting ready to go off base with my field artillery guys, and we got stopped at the gate, and we're like, you know, what's going on? And all of a sudden, boom, 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 they got hit 3 times. Mm-hmm. So the Hajis blew up the intersection in the middle of town. They blew up the police station, and that was in an effort to distract. They had stolen an ambulance and went to the hospital, and a suicide bomber ran into the hospital. We got a mass cow. We got a mass cow. Went running in. They were going after a doctor that was in there, and they blew up the hospital.
Wow.
Yeah. Luckily, that specific doctor, I guess, was on the 2nd floor and he didn't die. but how many other people died that day? Like
Wow.
I don't know. But it was the most intense thing. And like we saw the explosions. Like we were looking out, we heard the one and we looked out the window of our trucks because we're stuck in our trucks, and we see the other two. And it was ridiculous. And I mean, it's not that far. Like I talk about my deployment and we didn't get mortared on base as often. They would hit just the outside or right just inside the gate, but we were getting mortared all the time. And there was even stray 50 cal bullets that came in a few times.
Yeah.
And so
when I was there, we were getting 107 rockets in the living area.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah. We had a few people that came in after getting hit, and so it was rough. Some of the other things that I dealt with over there, I talk more in detail in some of my other podcasts, but there was a couple guys that were told to go over a bridge, and this is part of that unit corruption. They were told to turn around on a bridge.
Oh.
And in the Striker, yep, and went over. And I'm so grateful. So one of the hosts over at the home front sit rep, Gunny, he actually jumps with the team fast track. And after my interview last week, he set up honor jumps for the two guys. And then also another friend of mine who got killed on her way to Chow on one of the other fobs. And I was so grateful for those jumps and just beautiful. But we also had, a 12-year-old boy that came in because he took a 50 cal to his thigh, and it was friendly fire. I don't know if it was on their side or our side or what, but they brought him into us somehow, and we had to take care of him. And there was a lot that was going on there, and I didn't know how to handle it. I didn't know cleaning up all the blood, cleaning up the remains, and just the people getting hurt, getting mortared. I didn't know how to handle it, and I handled it not in a very good way,
And, I can't imagine being a medic because, and you say this about firefighters, police officers, whatever, but especially medics. You see people on the worst day of their life. Generally. And yeah, that has to be my nephew's wife is a flight medic, and I don't know how she does it.
A lot of compartmentalization, and
I'm sure
no books that teach you how to react to all these things. And having to see a young kid with a 50 cal in an adult is huge. Is a huge wound.
Yeah.
In a small child through his leg, I'm surprised the leg was still on. And 50 cal is unforgiving. So that's not something that a textbook can show you, or even the Recessa Annies can show you the mannequins that they have you train on, or even the goat if you trained on a goat. But
I was just gonna say, like I did. Yeah. I did training on the goat before we got deployed, and I'm so grateful I did, because that was live tissue that I could see how it handled, which prepared me for Iraq. But yeah, it doesn't actually prepare you for what you actually see over there.
Right.
No.
Or that little kid screaming when you're trying to move him, or if he has anything left of him that's a 50 cal. I just can't imagine. The dad probably freaking out.
Dad was screaming the whole time. Yeah, it was miserable.
Oh, hey, Rich, I'm looking at the chat feed. Are you going to get Marie a MisFitNation email address?
I probably can. Yes, I have that capability.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Well, that way when I make my pitch, I can add her on there.
There you go. And I think it's about time for you to make that pitch there, Jake.
Okay, I will make that pitch. Veterans, this is Veterans Week, and I know a lot of you will probably be thinking about your service a little extra. Let me tell you what, if you get down, you start seeing that darkness, and you don't think that you want to be here tomorrow, pick up the phone, dial 988, pop option 1. talk to somebody. They are there. They will get you the resources that you need to get out of that hole, however that is. If you don't want to talk to them, hit us up at steven@themisfitnation.com, info@themisfitnation.com, jake@themisfitnation.com, and soon to be Marie@themisfitnation.com. Drop your phone number in there. We'll call you. We'll talk to you. Sometimes all you need is an ear, and tomorrow is too beautiful of a day for you not to be here. Thank you.
Amen, amen, amen. We
Yes,
blazed through an hour here, and Stephen hasn't even said any jokes about NASCAR. So it's a rough
NASCAR's
time.
over, baby.
NASCAR's over. Let's tell
We're
New
on
York
hiatus
Giants
right now.
Let's tell New York Giants jokes.
Oh,
How long?
talk about winning the game at the last few minutes and then
Losing it.
yeah, it's
How long
something they've become very good at. I'm
Sorry.
Go ahead, Marie.
No. I was just gonna say,
You're
how
on.
long do you guys normally do the podcast? Because I could talk for hours if you want me to. I
Usually
always
go-
have stuff to talk about.
We usually go an hour. So those two are old guys. They fall asleep right after. So
Okay. Yeah,
Let's go.
I will gladly be on whenever you want if you want me to share more of my story, because there's so much more. I kind of just blazed over everything,
yes,
and or having me as a guest host. Like, I would love to help out, and I'm so grateful that you guys gave me this opportunity to kind of share a little bit of my journey.
it's
Well,
awesome to hear.
one
And
thing that this can do, and I was just thinking about it because I am by no means a social media wizard. I know you find that hard to believe, right? But if you co-host here and bring some of your followers, it's only going to grow you and grow us, and you can have some of our followers come to your podcast, and just it's going to grow both of us. So I think that's one cool thing about it, and I personally would like to see Rich be the next Joe Rogan, but
I'd love that too, and it would trickle down to all of you, because that's a lot of money for me to just hang around with. So it would go all to all of you, and I just sit back, relax in the big comfy chair, and talk to people.
hey, yeah. And you just turn to me every now and then and say, Jake, what do you think? And that's all you got to do.
And if you're not buffering, you'll give an answer. That'd be pretty good.
Would you guys be okay if I leave you with one more poem?
I was just going to ask you if you had one.
Yeah.
Oh, I've got
Have at it.
plenty of them.
You only have a whole book right there, though. So just
I only have a whole book and a whole nother book that's almost done. I'm just trying to decide which one.
And she's doing this with no glasses on, remember? So
Yeah, I know. I actually should be reading.
She's got a big magnifying
use
glass.
my reading glasses. Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna read you one that is called Insane Sanity.
nice.
So I think this will be a good one to end with, you guys. But okay. Insane sanity. This insane sanity that has taken over my mind is something I wish everyone could find. It's the idea that in life I can actually be free from doubt, shame, fear, and misery. For years, I created many false stories written in my own mind's laboratories. Somehow I knew love couldn't be mine, and pushing everyone away was totally fine. I told myself I would forever be victim, burden, slave for eternity. I told myself there was no way out, adhering to negativity and doubt. I always had hope one day things would change, yet I continued firing down that same lonely range. I now know that was the true insanity, continuing on that path of righteous vanity. My ego said I was better than everyone because I was the only person who wanted to run. When I finally let go and let someone else drive, my vessel stopped taking so many nosedives. This is the thought that has taken over my life and cut through all the lies like a burning knife. The secret to escape from where I was caged was learning my movements were on myself gauged. It took me a while to figure this out, and I'm constantly learning to fight the bout. When my brain starts to take control, I ask God to shut it off, free my heart and soul. In my mind, there remains a daily fight. Must ask Him again to let His will take flight. I know if I depend on the one up above and those He put in my life teaching me love, my story may never actually shift, yet the clouds surrounding it will surely lift. I'm a different storyteller than I was in days past, and by reaching out, my insane sanity will always last.
That was great. I love that one.
Steven, closing thoughts.
No closing thoughts. I just want everybody to be healthy, and I want everybody to reach out if you need help. Remember, there's always somebody there.
Jake?
I have none. Glad to be here. Sadly, I will see you all Thursday instead of tomorrow because I will probably still be tied up in Nashville. And Marie, welcome to the club.
There you go.
Thank
Marie,
you for being here.
Marie, you're not off the hook yet, believe me. So we have one last question for you. This one,
Okay.
This is the softball question. Some people feel like it's the hot seat question. But what's 3 things the Misfit Nation can start doing tomorrow to be better people?
What is 3 things the Misfit Nation can start being better people? Okay, so the 3 things. First one, stop trying to do shit on your own. Stop. We can't do this stuff on our own. We just can't. In recovery, it talks about, a broken thinker can't fix a broken thinker. If you're going around and round and round, you're just going to drown. So stop thinking that you can do it by yourself. Reach out for help. The next one is stop beating yourself up for the mistakes that you've made. Like shit. We don't beat babies down when they fall. Why are we beating ourselves down? Remember that inside of you is a little boy or a little girl. There's a poem on my website. So if you go to sliderbabe.com or sliderbabe.weebly.com, you can find a poem that's called Inner Children Need Mothers Too. We have to start treating ourselves like little children. We have to realize that we can't beat ourselves up for the mistakes of our past. And the third thing that I will say is stop beating yourself up for your limitations today. Because the reality is we can only do as much as we can do. We can only take one step at a time, one bite at a time. You can't cook and feed anybody else if you're outside. You have to be in the kitchen, in the moment, doing what you can, and you can only utilize the ingredients you have. If you need new tools, reach out to somebody else. If you need more ingredients, go get some more tools. Go get some more help from other people. But don't beat yourself up for where you're at. We can only move forward with what we have today. So, yeah. So don't do the shit on your own. Don't beat yourself up for your past, and be patient with yourself today. Those are the 3 things that I will say.
Outstanding. And of course, you can share those every time you come on. When you tell me what days you want to guest host, your seat's here or there. It's right there. You can guest host whenever you want, or you can jump on with those 2 as well on Tuesdays and hang out with them. Misfit Nation, tomorrow night's show will be at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time, so that our guests can post the colors for a Veterans Day event right after the show. So remember, it's earlier tomorrow. You
guys are having Tammy Flake tomorrow, right?
Yes, we are.
She is a friend of mine. She is here in Utah with me. I met her at a veteran entrepreneur, business entrepreneur event. She is fantastic. We had her on our show, and she has such an amazing story to tell. So please, please, please go check it out and give her some love. She is phenomenal. I love her. Hi, Tammy. I love you.
Outstanding. Thank you. You're already on it. Jake, Steven, thanks for jumping on tonight. Jake, tell Mickey we're praying for her tomorrow as she goes through yet another round of wonderfulness down in Nashville.
Yes.
I will see you tomorrow at 5 p.m. Marie, you let me know when you want to come back on and sit in the other seat.
Yes, sir. Thank you, guys.
Good night, Misfit Nation.
Good night, everyone.
Thanks for checking us out and being a part of the Misfit Nation show. Don't forget to visit our website at themisfitnation.com. That's themisfitnation.com. Check out all our past episodes and get some of the great Misfit Nation gear for you and your family. As always, be humble, stay hungry, and keep hustling because we are
Misfit Nation. Misfit Nation.